We're diving deep into every single Canadian NHL team to decide whether they are contenders or pretenders. Quick note, as I'm recording this, the playoffs are not set yet, so we're analyzing every Canadian team. Let's kick things off with the Flames. On paper, the additions of Frost and Farabee should have helped their offensive woes. But when you actually look at the numbers, they're still struggling to find the back of the net. According to MoneyPuck.com, they rank near the bottom of the league in scoring, and their inability to generate net front goals has been a glaring issue. Looking at their zone map here, we come to the conclusion that this team is incredibly frustrating to watch. They spend the majority of their time at even strength in the offensive zone, yet they are a bottom 5 team in terms of putting the puck in the actual net. Alright, well, if they can't really score, then they must be good defensively. Right? I mean, kinda. They are middle of the pack in terms of expected goals against per 60 at 5-on-5. Middle of the pack in terms of how many shots they concede, and they are middle of the pack in terms of blocking shots. Okay, man, what about their special teams? Is there any hope there? Well, no, unfortunately not. The Flames have had a very mid power play, and they are not very successful when they're on the penalty kill as well. Jeez, well, what does this team do well? Why should Flames fans have any hope? Well, you have a rookie goaltender who has been one of the best goalies in the league this year. As of the time of this screenshot, Dustin Wolf has a goal saved above expected of 15.5 and a .911 save percentage. To be performing this strongly in your first season of the NHL as a starter is incredibly impressive and is the Calgary Flames X factor in my opinion. Now, if the Flames actually do end up making it to the dance, don't expect much from them. They're going to be a pretender. There's just not enough there. Let's move over to the other Alberta team, the Edmonton Oilers. Leon Draisaitl is on pace to be the only player to hit 50 goals this season, and both he and McDavid are top 5 in league points. But there's a catch. The Oilers are still lacking in depth scoring. Even with the lack of depth scoring, the Oilers are having no troubles when it comes to generating offense at 5-on-5 and all situations for that matter. Using the NHL Edge shot map, we can see that this team has no problems getting the puck to the net, and they might honestly be the best Canadian team at doing that. Offensively, they're in a good spot. Sure, some players will need to step up in playoffs, but overall, it's a strong offense. Now, defense isn't the Oilers' strong suit. They do an okay job of limiting shots, but they give up a lot of high danger chances. The only Canadian team that allows more high danger shots against is the Montreal Canadiens. They also don't block many shots as well. In terms of Oilers special teams, no question about their power play. It's one of the best in the league, as it should be. Their penalty kill, however, it's not great. Only other Canadian team with a worse PK is the Flames. Alright, do you remember when I emphasized the amount of high danger shots this team allows? Well, Stuart Skinner is relatively decent when it comes to making those saves, but he is nothing special. He has been scored on the 8th most times in the league. He averages just under 3 goals a game, and he has a negative goal save above expected. The X factors here, though, are Draisaitl and McDavid. If those two go off, none of this really matters. In saying all of this, deep down, something just doesn't sit right. The Oilers are pretenders. Montreal's playoff hopes have been fueled by strong goaltending and the emergence of a young star on the blue line, but let's not kid ourselves, the Canadiens have major flaws. Just looking at their roster construction alone, I think it would be easy to justify this team being a pretender, but we will give them a chance. Let's head over to the NHL Edge shot map. And unfortunately for the Canadiens, they really struggle to generate those playoff-style goals, as it seems that they get the majority of their goals in the mid areas, which tend to be a lot less available in the playoffs. Generating offense has been a struggle all season. Their expected goals per 60 and their actual goals are both in the bottom half of the league. A massive reason for this would be the fact that they really struggle to generate shots, as they are the second worst team in shots for and for unblocked shot attempts for as well. Their power play currently sits 19th in the league, and their penalty kill is currently 13th, so that begs the question. Is this team just better defensively than they are offensively? Well, defensively, the Canadiens also find themselves in rough waters. They've allowed the 5th most high danger shots against and have conceded the 9th most goals against in the league. Sam Montembeault is the man tasked with stopping the puck for this team, and well, no other goalie on a Canadian team has been scored on more. Despite his sub-900 save percentage, he has still still managed a remarkable 15.3 goals save above expected, and he has a really strong high danger save percentage as well. So what's going on here? Well, it all goes back to the defense. They allow the most high danger shots against by a Canadian team. No goalie is going to be able to keep up with that. The Habs can definitely squeak in and go on a magical run. We have all seen them do that in the past. Don't think it's going to happen again, and just based off everything we've gone over, they are not strong enough. They are pretenders. The rebuild is finally over. The Ottawa Senators are back in the playoffs, but can they go beyond just making an appearance? Defensively, they've been great. Ottawa is near the top in expected goals against per 60, shots on goal against, and unblocked shot attempts against. This team does a pretty good job when it comes to holding a team to the perimeter and limiting shots allowed. Linus Ullmark has been a pretty solid goalie this year when he's been healthy. He's allowed the least amount of goals by a goalie on a Canadian team, and he's got a 9.8 goals save above expected. He does seem to struggle with the high danger shots though, so as long as the Sens do a decent job suppressing those, they should be fine. The Sens are an under-league average team when it comes to playoff-style goals. Similar to the Flames, it is the location they have scored the most from this season, just not nearly as consistent as the rest of the league. At 5-on-5, they rank second worst among Canadian teams in expected goals for per 60, shots on goal, and unblocked shot attempts for. And they aren't any better at generating high danger shots either. And I mean, all this checks out as it looks like they're only going to have one guy score 30 goals this season. Their special teams aren't too great, as both are kind of middle of the pack. The Sens definitely play more of a low event playoff style game, and they also have Brady Tkachuk, who was pretty much built in a lab for playoff hockey. This team is ready to surprise. They're going to be our first contender of the video. Toronto Maple Leafs are in a playoff spot yet again, but will they be able to finally make a deep run? Well, goaltending is going to play a massive role. Both Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll have played over 25 games each this season, and both are sitting above a .905 save percentage. It has been a decent tandem for sure, but Joseph Woll has played more games this season, so we're going to focus a little bit more on him. Joseph Woll has been a great goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. He's got a 13.4 goal save above expected and has allowed the 6th least goals in the league this year. His strong, high danger save percentage has provided stability and net, as no other goalie on a Canadian team has been better in those areas. Defensively, the Leafs have been surprisingly solid. They've allowed the 7th fewest goals in the league. They hold a decent expected goals against per 60, and they excel in the faceoff dot. The Leafs have also blocked the 9th most shots in the league, which is pretty important when it comes to playoff hockey. Offensively, the Leafs don't really struggle to score those playoff style goals. However, they are nothing special. Not great in terms of expected goals for per 60, shots on goals for, unblocked shot attempts for, and generating high danger shots for. Despite what most Leafs fans will tell you, their power play has been a bright spot this year, as it is currently top 5 in the league, while their penalty kill, well, it can only be described as serviceable. With solid goaltending, defensive support, and an offensive core with the potential to explode, Toronto has a real shot. They're going to be contenders. The Couv, what's going on over in Vancouver? Well, they find themselves fighting for a wild card spot, so again, for the sake of this video, we're going to pretend that they win that race. So, they are in the bottom half of the league in terms of scoring goals in front of the net. That's not great. At 5-on-5, they find themselves 24th for goals for, second last in terms of expected goals for per 60, dead last in terms of actual shots on goal, and 4th last in terms of unblocked shot attempts for. All right, so this team is not great offensively. And I mean, we could have deduced that just by looking at their team scoring. Are they any better without the puck? Well, yeah, they are, in fact. They actually might be the best defensive team in Canada, as no Canadian team is better in terms of expected goals against per 60 and shots on goal against. The Canucks also do a really good job of limiting rebounds and high danger shots against. How are their special teams? Surely their PK should be really good, right? Well, that's correct, as it's actually number 1 of all Canadian teams. What about their power play? Well, it could be worse. It's 15th. How about we focus more on the PK though, eh? Now, in order to quantify goaltending performance, we're going to have to use a per 60 analysis, as Demko just hasn't played that many games. In his 19 games so far, he's allowed 50 goals. His goals save above expected is positive, so that's always good. But he has not been the greatest in the high danger areas, similar to Linus Ullmark. So what do we have here? Well, we have a defensive team that struggles to score goals with a goalie who could be a complete X factor because because he is as fresh as a daisy. If the Vancouver Canucks make it into the playoffs, they will be pretenders. Goals win games. And quite literally the best for last, let's talk about why the Winnipeg Jets are Canada's best hope for a Stanley Cup. The Winnipeg Jets shot map is very impressive as they show that they understand the assignment. One of the best teams in the league at banging in those loose pucks in front. The Jets are pretty middle of the pack at generating offense at 5-on-5, and they shoot the puck a lot. And they get a good chunk of those shots in the high danger areas. No other Canadian team has a better power play as we have seen all season long. It has been torching teams every night. Their PK is relatively decent, which leads us into defense. No team in the league has been scored on less than the Winnipeg Jets at 5-on-5. They have a solid expected goals against per 60, and they do a fantastic job at limiting the high danger shots against. Now, let's talk about the best goalie in hockey, Connor Hellebuyck. In his 55 games played so far, Hellebuyck has a 34.1 goal save above expected. He's got a 2.06 goals against average with a 5.69 wins above replacement. The only red flag in his game is his save percentage in the high danger areas. Again, similar to Linus Ullmark and Thatcher Demko. Despite that, however, the Jets are going to be contenders, and they are going to be favorites as we believe they are Canada's best shots at bringing the cup home. So, after breaking down all 7 Canadian NHL teams, the landscape becomes pretty clear. While a few squads are pushing through their rebuilds and others are desperately clinging to their playoff hopes, only a couple of teams stand out as true contenders in Canada. That wraps up our breakdown of Canadian teams for the playoffs, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did we get it right? Who do you think has the best shot at going all the way? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more hockey content. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.